And speaking
Just
of
not a
that,
lot.
yeah, speaking of that, that's maybe we should get into the last time you went to the swamp with him.
Ah, the
Was he
Shackleton expedition.
was he a changed person by then, or I know I'm tipping away part of the
I
story,
was
but
I was with John last year. This is the third year we've been doing this. The first 2 years, everything went fantastic. A lot of hard work, exhausting hiking, 8 hours in the swamps and forest. I got to the airport in Memphis this year and he wasn't there.
hmm,
I waited a good 30, 40 minutes, finally got him on the phone, and he was doing something with the dogs. He rescues dogs from kill shelters and whatnot, and kind of provides that service. And so he was taking care of the dog. I completely forgot I was coming. And when he did pick me up, and we were getting ready to go down the 6 hour drive to Louisiana, he just wasn't himself.
hmm.
Something obviously off. I don't know what it was, but it was just an oddity to it all. We get down to Louisiana in our Airbnb and we do a little searching the first day. Everything goes well, no problems, but he's still something's wrong. I mean, I've known the guy 40 years and there's just something not tracking for some reason. And I don't know what it was, honestly. But the long and the short, second day in, we go down to a place we call a Cypress Break, and we'd been there last year with a kayak. We dragged through the forest. So we had a GPS marked. We went down there this year, and for some reason, we split off of each other. He went one way, I went the other, and that's not uncommon. We know usually if that happens, we just, meet back at the truck in the afternoon. And so I waited a while for him, and he never showed up. And so I was like, well, I'm here to get footage for my documentary. Let's get to work. So I decided to go around the southern side of what we call a Cypress Break, and I'm in there 4 or 5 hours. I think I hiked about 4 miles, which doesn't sound like much, but in the swamps and forests there, that's some distance. You're covering some pretty good ground. Long and the short, I go back to the truck. I know John doesn't have any food with him, so he'll be at the truck. It's about 3 in the afternoon, and for whatever reason, I get a strange feeling going, I don't think he's coming out of there. And I wait, I hang out and spend time, lay on the ground, look at clouds, and just kind of enjoy the day in the afternoon. I've got some food with me. The problem is he broke the cardinal rule, and that's to leave the keys at the truck.
Hmm.
Any adventure situation for the last 30 years, we come up with this idea. You always leave the keys hidden at the truck because if a guy, say, falls off a cliff, how are
Yeah.
you going to go down there and get the keys to rescue him? You're not. If the keys are at the truck, you can at least make it there and then and get rescue going. So, first rule was broken. I wait around. I'm getting a little antsy, and I start coming up. All my gear is locked in the truck, so I'm at the truck, but I can't get in the truck. It's a rental truck we have, and so at this point, I'm like, well, I could break the window and get in, but that's not going to make a lot of sense. And it's still afternoon, nothing's going on, and so as time goes and goes, I get a little more concerned, and I start coming up with contingencies of what do I need for survival out here. I've got food, I've got water, I've got a water filter, but I have no way to charge my phone. It's starting to die. I realized the lighter I had in my backpack had fallen out at the Airbnb, so I have no way to build a fire, which would be, a good possibility too. Problem is it's high predictability of rain that day, and so as I'm waiting for him, the rains come. I do have a poncho, and I sit there in the torrential downpours, and there's nothing I can do. Just wait and wait. About 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm thinking he's not coming out of there, and what do I do? I need a plan, so I can either break the window, hang out in the truck, spend the night, or I can hike out of there. And I wait until dark, and he never comes out. I'm hooting and hollering and yelling, trying to see if he'll holler back. I get no response at all. Call my girlfriend in Flagstaff, what, 13, 1,400 miles away, and tell her what's going on. And she's like, well, you need to call 911. I was like, no, he's highly experienced. He just got lost. He'll be out in the morning. No big deal. Nightfall finally hits, and two choices: break the window, spend the night in the truck, or hike out of there. I decide to hike out. I'm in full camo. I got a pair of muck boots on, and I've got one little tiny flashlight that's rechargeable. My headlamp's in the truck, of course. And I realize I can't really use it because I need to conserve it because the battery's going to die on me. So the long and the short, I got to hike 10 miles out just to the main road. And I make the trek out and send message to my girlfriend. Here's my closest GPS coordinate. If you can track me, follow me. And I start hiking. Hike a good, no, well, it's 10 miles to the road. So now I'm 14 miles in for the day in a pair of muck boots. I get to the main highway and I'm like thinking, well, I can just flag down a car and hitchhike, but the Airbnb is a good 20 miles away. So as I get to the highway, I start to hitchhike and I have this little light. And as the car comes, I shine it at the car coming, trying to get their attention. This is almost 10 o'clock at night now, and flicker it. And then when they get close, I shine it on my thumb to show them I'm hitchhiking. And why anybody would pick me up at 10 o'clock at night? Here's a guy in full camouflage with a pair of muck boots on.
And
I wouldn't pick me up.
you got the face paint on too,
Oh
right?
yeah, I got face paint on. I'm fully decked out.
Oh
So
yeah,
the
I pick him up right away.
yeah, yeah. So five, six cars go by. I start hiking. I call my girlfriend, let her know what's going on. I'm down to like 4% on my phone, so I shut it down and I look up and I see the sign to Pollock, Louisiana, and it's 7 miles. And so I'm looking at another seven on top of the 14 I've already hiked, and I'm getting pretty discouraged at this point. Rain starts coming, wind's coming. I mean, anything that could go wrong goes wrong. I keep hearing the deer snort at me as I'm walking by between the road and the forest, which is a little unsettling because you can't see them. You know, I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna get impaled or something or what, but finally, state trooper goes by and I flicker and I see his lights and I get all excited and he just drives right by me. And I literally lose all hope at this point. I'm practically in tears going, you got to be kidding me. Well, apparently he was just going up the road to turn around. So about 5 minutes later, he comes back, pulls in, and here's my angel, here's my saving grace. But now I'm like, am I going to get arrested? But I have no ID. I have no money. I have no proof of who I am. I'm a derelict on the side of the road. But he was gracious. He was wonderful. He wasn't judgmental. He was explained my situation. He called it in and basically gave me a ride back to the Airbnb. It was 20 miles away. And talked to him. He says, well, here's the number. You should call this parish. I was like, well, I want to wait till the morning. This guy knows what he's doing. I trust he just got lost. He'll be out in the morning. So I get back to the place and my phone's dead. I have no way to charge it. So I go rifling through all his gear and finally find a little charging cord that's about 6 inches long. So here I am talking to my girlfriend that night on the phone, next to the receiver, the plug-in. Um, talk to her. Next morning rolls around. It was a horrible night. I didn't sleep well. I felt guilty as hell anyways for sleeping in. It's raining, horrible thunderstorms all night long. The next morning comes in and I get up and no John, and now I'm getting really worried. And I give myself a cutoff about 10:30 in the morning, and I wait, and I realize that morning that again, no money, no food. We didn't have any backup food in the house, and I'm hungry. I hadn't eaten for since the day before, and I called my girlfriend and said, "Hey, can you order me a pizza?" And so she 1,300 miles away calls a pizza place and tells them the story, and they're intrigued on the story anyway. So they're like, "Yeah, we can get him a pizza." And so I'm waiting on the pizza, and finally about 10:30, I call the sheriff and put the call in and say, "Look, here's where we were." I give him the GPS coordinates, and I get a call back. Well, we're not. That's not where those coordinates aren't working. We can't find that. Finally, a local cop shows up, and I give him the coordinates. He's able to find it to where the truck was in the swamps, and they go ahead and they send a vehicle out, and they another cop comes, a sheriff, talk to him, same story, and they leave. They say, well, just hang tight, we're going to go out there and take a look. And I keep going, well, don't you want me to go with you? I can show you right where it is. I mean, so nothing happens. So as I'm sitting there waiting, nervous and whatnot, waiting for my pizza to show up, the sheriff comes back and he says, well, we want to take you out to the scene, which I thought was kind of an odd, the scene, was an odd way to describe it. So,
Right.
so I get in the car with him and we go out about three-quarters of the way there to a little convenience store. And then there's another sheriff car, the same guy that had come out earlier. And he puts me in the back of the cruiser, which I thought was kind of odd and not comfortable at all. So I'm not handcuffed, but I'm in the back of the cruiser and feeling a little claustrophobic. And he's taking me out to the site. And I get out to the site. They don't take me where the truck is. They take me within 100 yards of the truck, and there's probably 15 people out there already. And apparently, what they were doing was waiting for the dogs to show up. They wanted to use the beagles because beagles can still pick up scent even though there was rain and whatnot. And so, but all of a sudden, I start getting pushed from one guy to the other, and they start asking me a lot of questions. And all of a sudden, the light bulb goes on is I'm a suspect
Uh,
because they're describing it as a crime scene now. And now I go back immediately to my phone call with my brother that morning asking me if I needed an attorney. And I was like, no, why would I need an attorney? I get out there and realize I'm a suspect, but I tell the same story to five different guys and five different cars they pull me into, and finally get to the point we're waiting on search and rescue to show up, and
I just
2 hours.
I just want to. I'll play a little bit of where we just left off from, so we can kind of maybe make it as seamless as possible. Can you hear me?
I can't see you.
You can't. Oh, right, because I have my internet blind on there. But you can hear me, right?
Oh yeah, I see you and hear you now.
Good. I'm gonna play a little, just like the last minute of that.
So, but all of a sudden, I start getting pushed from one guy to the other, and they start asking me a lot of questions. And all of a sudden, the light bulb goes on: is I'm a suspect because they're describing it as a crime scene now. And now I go back immediately to my phone call with my brother that morning, asking me if I needed an attorney. And I was like, no, why would I need an attorney? I get out there and realize I'm a suspect, but I tell the same story to five different guys and five different cars they pull me into, and finally get to the point we're waiting on search and rescue to show up, and
I just,
2 hours.
I just want to. All right, so that's kind of where we are.
All right, I got some notes. I'll try to keep it quick too. So
Oh, no, no, now we got another 40 minutes. So
okay, all right.
elaborate. Yeah.
So we were at the point, and tell me when you're ready.
Where we're going. Yep.
All right, so I again
You're a
realized
suspect.
a suspect, not comfortable. I don't know if they're going to haul me off and put me in isolation somewhere and, hold me. It's a little concerning at that point. So nothing really happens from that. It's just more hurry up and wait. We're waiting for a team of dogs to show up. It turns out that it is a group of dogs. They say it's 13 for 13. They've never not found a fugitive, they say. I'm like, what do you mean, a fugitive? Well, it turns out that that's what this crew does. They hunt for fugitives and people of that. They just happen to be, that's who's in the area. That's who does this kind of work. So,
Right.
so they finally show up. We go where the truck is, and they want me to take them to the last known place where John and I had been, and I have it marked on the GPS. So 10 dogs barking crazy, running everywhere. Probably 12 to 15 searchers with me. We start walking down to the cypress break, and the whole time I'm looking at the GPS because there's no trails, there's no direct line of anything there. And as we're going down, we get down to close to where the area is, and I hear a guy yell, "Snake!" And I was like, "Oh, wow." I turn around and it's a cane rattlesnake and it's curled up, and I've got some great photos of it, but it's curled up in the pine needles. I literally had walked within inches of it. I can't believe I didn't get struck. I can't believe I didn't step on it. And I'm usually really highly cautious of that, but I'm stressed, freaked out, looking at GPS, all these guys with me. And so just wasn't really paying attention. So here all of a sudden I put my life in jeopardy. So, anyways, we get down to the location, and we had brought this tote with us full of that we brought waders because we wanted to be able to wade into the area. The year prior, we used a kayak. The cypress knees growing out of the water are so thick in areas you can't get through with a boat. So we figured, well, let's do waders.
Mm.
There's alligators. So anyway, that's another story. And the whole idea was the tote was we could leave the waders down there to come multiple times. The problem is rodents and other things will actually eat the rubber and the plastics off of that material, so you have to kind of protect it. So that was the idea. So the searchers are ready to go. Everything's going good, and one of the dogs is acting funny, and the handlers finally realizes that one of the females is in heat. We need to send back the two male dogs. So now I'm charged with carrying this 40-pound beagle. There's no leash or anything. If I let him go, he's going to go where the rest of the dogs are. So me and another searcher have to carry each with a dog in arms back up the hill up to where the trucks are, which was just brutal because this dog's squirreling the whole time and wiggling and and
Why didn't the dog handlers take them?
because they were too focused on search and
Oh,
rescue. They
okay.
were down there. So
So at this point, you're not a suspect, right?
no, I'm not a suspect, and I wasn't going to go on the search with them anyways. I was just going to show them the location, so I was going to have to walk back anyways. I just didn't know it'd be with a 40-pound beagle in my arms. And I'm thinking the whole time, great, I'm gonna get poison ivy or poison sumac or something because this dog has been ground level running around, and here I'm carrying him out. But anyways, so we get back to where all the other search and rescue people are, and it's long, brutal wait. All these scenarios are going through my head. I'm talking to these guys, telling them what's going on, and they're all friendly. There's one guy in particular, I think was a sheriff. I'm not sure, but he wasn't happy with me. I told him how my buddy John had been, experienced in 30, 40 years of doing this kind of stuff. And he's like, well, apparently not. He just wasn't real friendly. And he let me know that everyone there was there on their day off. That didn't make me feel so good. It's like, hey, I didn't plan this.
Right, right.
So,
And it's really
so
not your fault. You did everything right.
I was prepared. I had everything I needed. Turns out when John left the truck, he tells me, "Oh, my cell phone's dead." I'm like, "Well, you idiot." Okay, well, I'm glad the radios are at the Airbnb. Those will help, but didn't have those. So, anyways, long and the short is it's a brutal wait. The whole time they're searching, there's other cars and trucks, police associated, driving around the forest with their sirens going on. So this whole time while they're searching, all in the background, all around me, I hear sirens going off and all this noise, and it's almost apocalyptic or something,
Mhm.
on top of everything else. And finally, a guy shows up with a drone. They're going to do some thermal imaging while the dogs are searching, and he fumbles with it, and not to make light or any of them, he's got some physical condition where he really doesn't have any fingers. So he's trying to get the drone to do its thing, and he can't. It's a different story, but it was interesting. It was like, all right, well, that's going to be hard to control those controls, but 15 minutes of him fumbling with it, he finally gets it off the ground. Now it's about 4 in the afternoon the following day. And just as he gets it in the ground, we hear on the radio, we found him. And
Mm.
I'm elated. I'm like, oh, thank God, prayers answered. We can move forward, but there's no indication if he's alive or dead. They just say we found him. So now we got another 15 minutes of just brutal wait time with your brain running through every scenario, wondering what's going to happen. Finally, about 15, 20 minutes later, they do confirm he is alive. And so I'm elated. Great. Wonderful. We can get on with this. And about 30 minutes later, they come out of the forest. He's on the back of a quad, and I look at him and take one look and realize not good. I mean, he doesn't look good at all. Because at this point, I'm thinking, oh, he's good. We can jump in the truck, be on our way, la da da, this and that. And I didn't know he'd been injured. So they get him. They have an ambulance waiting. They get him to the ambulance, and as they're putting him on the gurney, the woman grabs one of his boots to pull his boots off and literally pours water out of his boot. So here he has waterproof boots on, and they're completely full. And they decide to take him to the hospital, which is 40 miles away. And
Mm.
so I get released. Thank all the searchers, rescuers. I follow him in the rental truck to the hospital, 40 miles away, and thinking, all right, everything's good. They'll just check him out. Well, apparently he's in the ER, and I talked to the nurse, and she's like, well, his blood pressure's through the roof, and he has a possibility. We have him on what we call a death watch. And I
Mhm.
was like, well, why? What's going on? He's fine. She's like, no, no, no. He was severely dehydrated. He has he has rhabdomyolysis, and it's basically where your body starts attacking itself, shuts your kidneys down, and can give you a heart attack or kill you. And so, long and the short, we got this guy out of the forest, saved him, saved his life, and he's still not out of the woods, so to speak. So kind of interesting. You go to all that effort and still get somebody to safety, and the fight's not over.
Right.
So he's in the emergency room. I don't know how long he's going to be there. I'm supposed to fly out the next day. I'm 300 miles away from the airport in Memphis where I'm supposed to fly out, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen. I contact the Airbnb lady. She's booked out the next day, so I can't stay there. I finally make the choice. Well, I don't know how long he's going to be in the hospital. I got to go home. I have work. I have things I have to do. I make the choice to rent a car so I can leave him transportation and get on the phone and the computer, and I start looking, and all of a sudden there's not a car available. Every time I find a car, click the button OK, it says unavailable, unavailable. I can't find a car, and now I'm like, I'm trapped. I mean, it's like, come on now. I just want to go home at this point. 2 hours goes by. I finally find a car, rent it. Next day, I get up, fill the rental truck with gas, take it to the hospital, Uber it, pick up the rental car, back to the hospital. Had gotten him some money. He'd lost his phone, his wallet, has nothing.
But he had the keys.
Well, I had the keys. I had the fob, the key fob, and the
Right,
keys
right. But you were able to, like,
for the
because
rental truck.
right,
So basically, I didn't want to leave him stranded. I went and got him money. I got him a charging cord for his iPad that he had in the truck. And I bring the truck back to the hospital and I bring him up. He's out of the ER finally. So he's off death watch, but they're not going to let him go anywhere 'cause his blood pressure and everything is still way high. And I talked to him and we talked for about 20 minutes. I said, Ian, I love you, brother. I got to go. Here's $100 cash. The truck is full of gas. Here's the key fob. Hand it all to him, and he's cognizant. He's tracking. Everything's good. Say our goodbyes, and I jump in the car because I'm fighting time to make it to my flight. That's my other issue.
right.
I got to drive, 6 hour drive just to get to the airport if I make it. So and about a third of the way in, I get a call for him. He has lost the key fob and believes somebody has broken into the truck and has stolen valuables and things of that nature. So again, it's like if anything could go wrong, it just kept going wrong. It was just domino effect after another. They had him on morphine apparently, so even though he was tracking and cognizant, he didn't remember a lot of the conversation, and I wasn't aware of that. So long and the short, they wouldn't check him out of the hospital anyways unless someone came to check him out. And we have friends in the area, and they came the next day when he was going to be released and took him to their home or whatnot. But they never found the key fob. We don't know what happened to it. The truck was locked when I left. When he got to the truck, it was unlocked. There was just a couple of weird small things missing, so we don't know if somebody did get in or what, or got spooked or what have you. But so it was kind of an oddity there. But so yeah, I finally made it to Memphis and hopped on a flight and just in shock for the next 3 days and definitely some PTSD from it. So
Yeah, yeah. Now, how's John doing now?
John's doing okay. About 3 weeks after he got into a head-on collision, and right now has 9 broken ribs.
Oh, gee.
He had some severe tendon damage in his shoulder from in the swamps. He got lost. He That night was wandering, slipped into a hole, and basically 20 feet down, hit the water hard, trying to break his fall, and that's when he got injured. So he went into the water. He says he went at least 10 feet below the depth of the water in the hole. Never saw it. It's pitch black. He just blindly walked into this hole, and that's where he got injured. He uh, got out, struggled, and then basically spent the night hovering over a log, apparently, scared to death that the water. He kept hearing noises all night long, and he thought there were water moccasins coming up behind him, and so he kind of just was freaked out the entire night. He figured it was small splashes, so it wasn't alligator, but obviously there's an alligator issue as well. So he had a pretty horrific night on top of being injured. And then I don't know. He says he saw lightning bugs the size of softballs. I'm pretty sure he was hallucinating,
Wow.
and a lot of other odd stuff. And then he claims the next day that I shouldn't say claims. He believes he saw an ivory woodpecker fly right over his head the following
Oh,
day. Where
sure.
they were sleeping. And he sent me the footage on his camera, and of course the camera wasn't recording, and so it didn't. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Right, right, right. So,
So,
so what's your
uh,
next step? Are you going to go back next year? No, or is that kind of like a trauma center for you?
when I left, I swore I would never go back again. I was done, and even before the day that he got lost, as I was hiking through, I'd really decided that hey, boots on the ground's not going to work. I had come across a couple of game cams, and I was like, yeah, this is the solid approach. Set up game cams, monitor them. So I was kind of done with my on ground search. I still wanted to pursue the documentary, so I knew there was interviews and things of that nature, but I definitely walked away from it going, I'm kind of done with this for now.
Yeah.